Right, I thought it was time I did another Patron exclusive video. There's just a few things I want to mention really, and I've written some bullet points down on my phone here which I keep referring back to. It's not that I'm ignoring you and looking at my phone going, oh yeah, that's interesting. No, I've got a list here of just a few things to cover and something else there. In fact, let's start off. The other day, yesterday it was, I just recorded a bit of a voiceover for a quote that's going to be on Lazy Game Reviews. He's doing a video about some data storage thing or something. He asked me to do this voiceover. I thought that was nice, so I've recorded that yesterday, sent it off to him, so you might hear that before you hear this. I'm not too sure how quick he is at putting his videos out. I know I'm not that quick. In fact, that's one of the things I want to mention. It tends to take me about 5 days or so to put a video together, sometimes 6 and maybe a little bit more, then maybe 4 every now and then. So an average of 5. Now the issue with that is, when do I take my holiday? Because I like to try and get a video out every week, if at all possible. But the problem is this year we're having a long holiday. If you're in a relationship with someone, there's usually one of you that's more into holidays than the other one, and they're the one that decide things. So in this case, the missus wants to go on this big long holiday, which is great, because if it was down to me, I'd just keep working all year round. I'd be putting these videos out and I'd keep happy doing that. But I suppose you need to recharge every now and then. So anyway, she's booked this long holiday. Now I'll just go back in time a little bit, because you might be aware I've got various sort of health type issues. I don't like to go on about these things too much because it's a bit miserable hearing about someone else's health issues. But let me just get them out of the way very quickly here and now. I got type 1 diabetes, definitely type 1, when I was 39 and 11 months old. Well, that's when it was diagnosed. I have a good feeling I had it for at least 10 years before then, because I felt like crap for a decade. And I kept going back to the doctors and they kept, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. And it was all the symptoms of diabetes. I remember being in a London tube station. There was an advert on the wall opposite, and this was might have been 15 years before I was diagnosed. And it says, do you suffer from any of the following? Getting up at night to go to the loo, tiredness, blah, blah, blah. It had a list of things. And I was like, yeah, all of those. It says, if so, you might have diabetes. You should see a doctor. Well, I did, and they weren't interested. Anyway, forward on a year, 10 years, 39 and 11 months, I go to the doctors again with similar things, completely and utterly worn out and tired all the time. Literally, I could fall asleep. I used to get on the train in the evening from the way home from work. I'd leave work at 5, I'd walk to the station, I'd get on the train at 5:20, and many a time I just fell asleep before I even left the station. Like 1 minute later, I'd sit in the chair and I'd fall asleep like that. That's not normal. So, anyway, this went on for ages. Went to the doctors. Luckily, it was a locum doctor. If you're unaware, that's like a stand-in doctor. When the other doctor's on holiday or something, they bring a locum in, or someone that's training or whatever. There's a young girl. Say girl, I'm sounding like an old man, but I mean really she seemed like about 21 or something, and she was very enthusiastic because of course she was new at the job. So she did all the tests and she said, oh, that's a bit funny, did the blood test. And no one else had been interested in doing the blood test up to this point. So well, that's a bit odd. And then she did some more tests and sent them off or something. I went to work the next day and she rang me halfway through the day and says, you need to come in now, it's urgent. I said, well, can I not wait till after work? I'll see that. No, you need to come in now. So anyway, that's when I was diagnosed. And if you're unaware, if you do get type 1 diabetes, everyone just, as soon as they've diagnosed it, everything's great. They all throw everything at it. So you start seeing nurses and dietitians and all sorts of people. So it completely changes your lifestyle. Now, okay, that would have been fine. I've got diabetes. Okay, I can cope with that. You having to have injections and test your blood and all that kind of stuff. But then I've also got other things, like I've got a problem with sinuses. You might be aware I sound sort of blocked up all the time. It's just because it creates snot all the time. So I can't breathe a lot of the time through my nose. And also that has then created some sort of polyps up here on the edge of the brain, which is the bit where you get your sense of smell and 80% of your taste. So that's all blocked up and there's nothing they can do about it. People write to me every now and then and say, oh, I've read this thing. And they go to Google and they'll type in whatever, I've got type 1 diabetes. And they'll say, oh, you can cure type 1 diabetes with this herbal bullcrap remedies. And it really annoys me, because imagine you'd lost a leg and then people start writing to you, say, oh, you can get a new leg. There's this, I've read this article and they can grow one with stem cells. It's like, just deal with your own problems, I'll deal with mine. Trust me, if you've got diabetes, which I know some of the viewers have, you know everything about it. I mean, literally, it's like a whole new world you enter as soon as you're diagnosed, and you get all documentation, you can read up on it, and there's forums and there's groups and things, and you see specialists. Literally, I know more about diabetes than I do about anything else. And yet you'll get some guy going, I've heard that if you've got diabetes, if you do, you know, it's like, shut up. So anyway, same thing with this snot thing. Nothing I can do about it. I've seen all the best specialists. I've had 4 operations and nothing I can do. I can't smell anything at all, literally nothing. And I can't taste anything. Now, when I say that, I can taste, I wouldn't say it was taste. I can define flavours. On your tongue, you're aware you've got your kind of sour, sweet, umami and what's the other one? I don't know, peppery or something, whatever. Salt. Have I used that one? Anyway, you put one of those things on your tongue and you can tell it. So if you got like some grains of salt and some grains of sugar, and you put one, no, that's salt and that's sugar. Doesn't taste of anything. It's a definition. You can categorize them. So you can say, oh, that's sour. And you say, well, what is it? Is it a sour orange, or is it a sour lemon, or is it a lime? You go, don't know. Can't taste anything. I can just tell that you get that kind of face, you know. Same with sweetness. So anyway, I'm going into it too greater detail, but I've got a load of things wrong with me. Now, unfortunately, all these things kind of flare up every now and then. I get a bit ill and stuff, which is why one of the reasons I had to give up my job. I'd worked in, probably haven't gone on about this, I'd worked in insurance for 25 years, never really achieved a great deal in it, but it wasn't something I ever wanted to do either. Nobody ever wants to do insurance. You just end up doing it because that's all that's available. And over those 25 years, I kind of, you know, you get a bit tired with the job and stuff. But when I started getting ill, it got harder and harder, and I was worn out of my desk and all the rest of it. In the last couple of years of my job, I got a different job in insurance, which meant visiting places around the country, driving around, seeing different places. That was very interesting. I got to see some places I'd never been to before. But ultimately, all the time for the last sort of 8 years or so of doing that, I'd been doing this, and it had started to say, well, I could give up the insurance thing and do this instead, because it was the commuting that was killing me, sort of an hour each way every day, all that worn out business, completely tired out all the time, and also the visiting people thing. If you're sort of full of snot all the time, it's not very pleasant to blow in your nose in front of people, meeting people, coughing. I had a hell of a lot of problems with coughing on my chest, asthma. That's another thing that started. All these things started when I was 40. So I was like a bit of a wreck, and I was going, meeting people, visiting people, driving across the country, and like coughing my guts up in Premier Inns, which are, you know, motel type hotels around the UK. So that wasn't best. So in the end, I thought, no, I'll stop doing that. I'll do this instead. And it's a cut in wages initially and all the rest of it, because, you know, I was getting paid, I don't know, 30 grand a year or something. It's not a lot. And did this instead. And that means that on days when I'm not feeling, I'm finally getting back to the point. On days when I'm not feeling well, I don't do anything. I'll just sit around and do research, really, on the internet. I mean, I'm saying nothing, but I'm reading things, storing articles, taking screenshots and grabbing photos and things. And then days when I'm feeling fine, like I am today, I can do stuff like this. And I've tidied this place up because you visited today. You should have seen it earlier. It was an absolute disaster. So I could do more on those days, but you can't do that in a real job. You can't just ring in sick all the time, say, I don't feel like it today, but I'll promise I'll do more work tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. But when you're self-employed, which I am, I can do that. So that is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. And in fact, this is all a bit of every grey cloud has a silver lining, because the fact that I got ill has meant that I'm doing this now. If I had been healthy and fine, and there was no diabetes and all the other things hadn't kicked in at the same time, I'd have just carried on doing my job and been pretty miserable at it probably as well. But actually, the end bit was all right. But yeah, would have just carried on doing my job. And as it was, getting ill has meant I've had a change in career. Also, another thing about getting diabetes, people say, although a lot of people argue with this now, that it takes 20 years off your life. Because it just used to be the case. I mean, worrying things are going blind because of diabetic retinopathy, which is a very real thing, and having amputations and stuff. Now, a lot of that stuff is people that just don't control it. If someone tells them they've got diabetes, they say, I'll just carry on as I am before. Now, you know, you might not know, I'm very fastidious about keeping on track of it. I've just thinking, have I got my sensor thing? I think that's, oh no, here we are. Always carry my blood check machine around. So I've got these sensors that I pay £100 a month for, and I'm currently at 6.3 and it's stayed in there all day. Now, actually, while I'm here, another mention. I've got, God, bloody phone. Right, there's an app on here, Freestyle Libre. The people who do these things have finally got their app approved by Apple. They did drag their heels on it. I'm blaming Apple on this because it was available on Android before. But I use an Apple phone. I'm not going to change all my ecosystem just to do this when I've got that in my pocket. However, if I press this button here, I can scan it and get a reading off it like that. Now, that I think is the first time Apple's allowed the use of the NFC chip in their phones to do anything for anyone else. So just a bit of trivia there. But yeah, being diabetic worries you a little bit. Someone tells you that you're not going to live forever, which most people just don't really think about. They think, oh, I'm going to be 80 someday, it'll be all right. Well, imagine me now, what am I, 40, 47, 48? Anyway, I'm sort of late 40s. And you lose track when it gets to a certain point. Well, if you think I'm late 40, so let's say, I mean, I'm a year or two off being 50, so let's say I'm 50, just to round it up. How long am I going to be able to keep doing stuff like this for? Maybe 10 years or so, would you think? Let's start getting a bit worn out, a bit tired of everything. Well, that's nothing, is it? So I've got basically, in my head, I've got a 10-year or 15, maybe into my 65 type of thing. If you take 20 years off your life and you were going to live to be 80, then I'm going to live to be 60. Well, okay, so it's not as bad as 20 years nowadays. You might say, oh, you might live to be 70 or something. Well, it's not very far away when you're 50. So, you know, that's all I'm doing. I've seized the days, what I'm trying to say to you. So that's where I'm up to now. That's where the medical things are. Don't send me any articles saying that I can regrow a pancreas with Lego or something, because it's not going to happen. Look, pancreas has stopped working. I have to deal with that. But I know I said I wasn't going to go into the medical stuff too much, but I think just getting out of the way here is a good thing, because it's like, that's it. Draw a line under it and let's move on. Now let's have a look at the other things on this bullet point list. There, I've just closed the app. Right, okay, yeah, so constant, yeah, done that. Right, now, over here, what's that? 602,972 subscribers. Now, someone got in touch with me and said, oh, congratulations on 600,000 subs. And I didn't know, because it's not something I really keep an eye on. I'll be honest, that clock up there, it's on the clock all the time. I only switch it over to these subs when I'm doing videos like this, so that there isn't like a continuity error. So I'm in the middle of talking, I think, oh, this bit's rubbish, and then edit it, and then suddenly the clock moves forward 5 minutes. So I'll stick it up there. So you can keep your eye on that. 972, see what it is at the end. But yeah, 600,000. It doesn't mean a lot, really. I mean, it's no different to 500,000. It's not like suddenly you're going to make a fortune and everyone's going to invite you to Hollywood parties or anything. I think if you get up to 1 million, it's a bit more significant. People like round numbers. So, you know, it's like, for this car will go 100 miles an hour, or everything's like decimal numbers. People like, you know, I've got to 10 of these, or whatever. Nobody cares about 9 if you've got 10. So if that gets to 1 million, I get a different plaque. I've got a plaque somewhere. I just shoved it in the corner. Is it up there? Anyway, I've got a YouTube plaque somewhere. They give you that for 100,000. Was it 100,000? And then when you get, was it 500,000? No, it's 100,000. Anyway, when you get to 1 million, you get another one, which is a bigger one, if YouTube is still around now. And I think then people start, you might get more offers of stuff, you know, it's one of these million subscriber channels, maybe including some sort of special list. I don't know whether that'll happen. I mean, it took me 10 years to get to here, 600,000, so I won't worry about it. So yeah, 600,000, when it gets to 700,000 doesn't make any difference. I think 1 million might be something. But it's nice to know. I mean, it's going up, isn't it? So that's good news. But I didn't have a party when I got to 600,000, put it like that. But yeah, it's nice. Now, the outro stuff. You know, at the end of the video is the outro with a patron list on it. The $5 patron people. I'd never thought there'd be more than about 20 people on that list, because it was a silly amount. I mean, who's going to pay anyone $5 a month for videos when they could watch them all for free? No, there's no point, I thought. But there's a lot of generous people out there, a lot more than I'd ever consider. In fact, it encouraged me to be a patron of various other channels, and people like Lazy Game Reviews, Nostalgia Nerd, 8-Bit Guy, The Back Office, Fran Lab, and there might be and Oddity Archive. So I'm a patron of all those channels because the people that I watch, I don't watch everything they do, but when I have watched them, I've appreciated it, so I've been a patron. But yeah, I didn't expect there'd be that many people paying $5. It seems silly to me, but there's a load. In fact, that list now that's scrolling, I don't want it any longer. The scroll speed increases every time I add people on, because of course it's 2 minutes or something, so you get more people and it just goes faster. So I put a limit on it. I put a 500 person limit. So 500 people, that's crazy, isn't it? I wouldn't have thought that. People complain about the outro being too long, but it's truthfully, the reason it's there, as well as the scrolling names, is it's like an advert. Because people just watch one video, as many people do on YouTube. They'll get sent a link or something will just pop up and they'll watch it. And they go, oh, yeah, that's good. And I think at the end, having all the things coming up, look, here's all the stuff that I've done in the past, encourages people to think, oh, I wonder what else he's got. Whereas otherwise, if it just finished, all right, thanks, bye, that's it. They never carry on. So it's the end bit is an advert for me, as well as a thanks to the patrons. And a lot of people don't seem to get that. But, you know, they can always press stop, as I've said. And then somebody says, well, actually, I'm doing the voice of a certain character. People say, well, actually, there's no stop button, there's just a pause button. Can you believe the pedantry people? Well, yes, I can, because I've got this was going to be at the end, but I've done my own segue without realising it here. I've had a complaint from the you see how happy I am about this? I'm made up. I had a complaint from the Advertising Standards Authority. Would you believe it? Now, I know there's a lot of people who are patrons from outside the UK who might not be aware. I mean, the name kind of gives it away, but I'll explain. The Advertising Standards Authority would be in charge of adverts on billboards and on television and magazines, on the radio, I don't know, I suppose if your advert's offensive, they get complaints about it, or if there's something dishonest in the advert, or, you know, that kind of thing. There's in charge of adverts. So I was quite impressed to get a complaint, and here's the reason. It's now, the thing is, I don't do adverts. I do product reviews, and then underneath them, I'll say, if you're interested in this, here's the Amazon links or eBay links. Now, when you do that, you have to put a little thing on to say these links are affiliated. That was something that YouTube said, or Amazon said, or somebody said anyway. So once you set up your affiliate scheme, it reminds you that you have to do this if you read through all the information. So being a responsible person, I put YouTube/Amazon links may be affiliated where possible. No, will be affiliated where possible. It was on all my videos. Oops. Right. So I've had that on all the videos ever since I've been affiliated. Now, going back when I started out and I started reviewing dash cams and things, I used to provide links and said, here's where you can get this from. They weren't affiliated. I'll be honest, I didn't even know what affiliated was when I started out. I had no idea that these things existed. And it turns out that if you sign up to the affiliate scheme on Amazon and eBay, then you make a bit of commission when somebody buys something. In fact, one of the best things about it is they don't have to actually buy the thing that you've linked to. If you've sent them to Amazon or eBay, and they've looked at that and thought, oh, that's rubbish. Oh, by the way, while I'm here, I'll buy that Ferrari. Like you could. I'd get commission on that. I think there's a cut-off limit. You won't get like £1 million, but you know, you get a couple of quid or a pound or something for something that's like £100 maybe as a commission. I don't know what the rates are. They keep messing around with them. You don't need to pay attention to it because most days no one will buy anything, and then occasionally somebody will. And at the end of the month, it adds up. You get a bit of money, goes in, and helps with the expenses. In fact, going back, I'll come back to this. Expenses last year, £20,000 I think it was on the accounts for running this channel. Now in that time I put out sort of 60 or 80 videos or something. Anyway, quite a lot of videos, and a lot of that is buying equipment, buying things to show in videos, like what's going on here? Was, for example, a reel-to-reel machine. You know, it'd be like £500. A camera, the camera you're watching this now, will cost me £1,200. Lighting and this screen, and you know, it adds up. But 20,000, that's stupid. I don't think it'll be the same next year, but it just shows you it's expensive doing this if you do it the way I do it, which is probably the wrong way. But I know it doesn't look like there's that much on screen, but when you look how much it costs for a couple of minutes of a TV show, that'd make about 30 seconds, wouldn't it, of a TV show probably. So it's not bad value for money, but for someone like me, oh, that's a lot of money. Anyway, yeah, so all those things, the YouTube ad revenue and the affiliate stuff and the Patron money all go towards getting me to do this and keeping a roof over my head and paying the mortgage and things. Not the Patron money, that goes straight back in. In fact, that's pretty much what bought all the equipment last year. But yeah, the Advertising Standards Authority, here's the complaint. Your advert, YouTube video, Philips Viva Pasta Maker review, with a link. Not much use of a piece of paper, but it was on the email. Seen on 26th of Jan 2018. Reason for contact. We have been contacted by a member of the public, this is the bit that makes me laugh, who has objected that the description beneath the video contains affiliated links, but the text explaining the commercial relationship is not prominent enough. Not that it's not there, it's not prominent enough. So they've got an inability to read text. I mean, the text box had like that much text in it. I mean, that's not really a description of text, but you know, if you go to text box, it says this is a video, here's your links. At the bottom it says links will be affiliated. It says the outro music is this, thanks to whoever, and maybe any corrections. But you know, if you can't be arsed reading that, so, excuse the language, why is it my fault? Anyway, yeah, so the action that was required, I'm probably doing the wrong thing telling you this, maybe this is secret, but I don't mention it. The action required, the text, here we are, oh, it's got the text here, in quotes, links, Amazon/eBay links are affiliated where possible, end quotes, should be moved and placed directly below the affiliated links so that consumers are made immediately aware of the commercial relationship. Well, there we go. And that's it. So it was an advice notice, not like a telling off, but in the email it sort of said, and if you do this, then there won't be any further action. However, if any further infringements are notified, then we'll have to take action or something. Right, so this, I'm laughing because it's ludicrous. Who's sitting at home watching YouTube, or even on the toilet, but this could be at home, and then going, right, I'm going to that pasta review. I think I'll buy one of those pasta. It seemed like a pretty decent pasta maker thing. I'll click on these links and hold on, these links aren't prominently advertised as being. What does it matter? The thing is, if I don't affiliate the links, the price of the product remains identical. It's just Amazon would keep that £1. So either they give it out to someone for advertising or they keep it themselves. The product remains the same price. Funny thing was, it wasn't even available in the UK when I put the video together, so I don't know why anyone's complaining to the Advertising Standards Authority that are in the UK when you couldn't even buy the flipping pasta maker when I made the video. But yeah, there's some weird people out there, and I think it's this kind of destructive thing, you know, the kind of, if you see someone with a Porsche, they'd scrape it with a key or something. It's almost like there's a jealousy. I don't know why you're jealous of this. If anyone wants to try doing this, it's hard work, especially for someone like me who's not exactly fully with it all the time. So to actually sit there and sort of be so negative about the whole thing and want to kind of break it somehow, it's like kicking in a sandcastle. I just don't get it. There's worse things going on in the world. If you watch the news, there's some pretty messed up stuff happening. So the fact that an affiliated link is about 10 lines away from the piece of text that says this link is affiliated, pretty low on the radar. I just don't. It's so weird that I'd love to see your comments about that, because do you think that's odd? Because I think that's bloody odd. Language again. Sorry. Try not to swear in these videos. I'm not a swearer, but sometimes there's things that make you swear in the. Right. Now here's the main point of this video. I hope I haven't missed anything. Let me just check this a second, because I didn't want to jump past anything. Oh yeah, no, we can do that. Right. That was going to be last, you see, so I've got myself out of sync. Oh, that was the thing I said for lazy game reviews, so we don't need that. Right, I've got a list. You won't be able to see this, which is probably a good thing, because somebody will say, where's that video about such and such? This is a list of videos I typed up yesterday when I was sitting there thinking, right, what are my next video is going to be about? And I've got a full year worth of videos on there, and I know there's more. I had a list of 90 odd at one point somewhere, which is still on a computer, but I just wanted to do this as a memory exercise, really remind myself. So I've got, I think there's about 60 odd things in there, so at least a year's worth of things I can make videos about. But back to the very beginning of this, I think it was the beginning, I was talking about holidays. I'm going to be going on holiday, and I'm going to be out of the country for a few weeks. And I don't want there to be nothing coming out during those few weeks, because people go a bit crazy. I've told you this story before, I think, when I last went on a holiday and somebody posted that I was dead. And then there was all these messages coming in going, oh, he seemed like a nice guy, it's such a shame that he's dead. It was nice to see your own obituary. People were very pleasant once I was dead, but I was on a cruise ship in the middle of nowhere, which actually is getting back to the illness thing. I'll just jump back. Well, I'll carry on. So I was on the cruise ship in the middle of nowhere, and I couldn't communicate very easily. What I did on the cruise ship is you get an internet package, but it's rubbish, and sometimes it's just so slow it's not worth using. So I go on each day, refresh my emails, bring them all in, disconnect, because it was like 75 cents a minute. And then I'd get my iPad out, whatever it was, phone at the time probably, and look, here's my emails for the day, mark which ones I was going to reply to later, write up the replies, and then connect and then send them all later on. So again, sort of burst sending of information rather than just sitting there on the internet. So I'm going through these, it turns out I was dead, which being on a cruise ship sometimes feels a little bit like that, but it was ridiculous. So I then had to go straight back on and say, no, this was on my own website. This was back before, I mean, no point putting it on YouTube. No one reads the comments on there. Right, I was determined to do this in one take, but it's not going to happen now, is it? Anyway, so it can't happen because it was in the past. Amazon delivery. You know, I was going about £20,000 last year. It's no wonder. Memory card today. This is a SanDisk Extreme Pro 256 gig, U3 for 4K. I'm always using memory cards in all sorts of different cameras, and of course every time you get a different 4K camera you need another memory card in it. So that was £110 or something. So all this stuff adds up. Anyway, yeah, so where was I? I think I was on a cruise ship, so I had to spend my own money to go on there and tell everyone I wasn't dead, and that was on my own website to put a comment on it. So yeah, someone had commented under the last video review I'd done. So I mean, nowadays I don't think they could do that, because of course there's Twitter and there's YouTube and things, and I'm sure someone on this Patron thing is saying no, he's not dead, if that was the case. And that's really one of the things I mentioned, because I'm going on this holiday. I'm going to be out of the country for quite a few weeks. I don't want there to be nothing coming out while I'm away. I've already said all this. I know I'm going back in time, but I'm trying to remind myself. So I've been trying to get videos done in advance, so that I was just thinking that the lighting's changed since I was last doing this, but let me just hold on. I moved the up lighter and it was annoying me. Right, no, so where was I? Yes. So I've been trying to get more videos done, but as I mentioned right at the beginning, and it's like a Quentin Tarantino film, this, isn't it? The sort of beginnings at the end, and I'm going round, but less annoying Una Thurman. So yes, going off at tangents. It takes me about 5 days to do a video, or thereabouts, and that means I can do one video a week of my normal kind of videos. But I'm going to be away for, well, I mean, it's about 4 weeks or so. It's not really full 4 weeks, but of course you can't make a video while you're away, and when you come back you won't want to come straight out, and you won't want to come out just before you go. So I need about 4 videos in the bag, and I've got no time to do them. So I came up with the idea, from my big list of videos, pick out some of the shorter topics, things that really you can't go into in all that greater detail. You go, here's a thing, look, it does this, that's about the end of it, and then move on. Obviously a bit more elaborate than that, but not things with a big long history or a big story about them, or like lots of different versions that you have to compare with one another. Not something like a dash cam review that takes a week to do, and I know a lot of people aren't that interested in those anyway. So this thing behind me here is that's why this is here. Oh, see, it was like a MacGuffin. It was here all the time. This is just a demonstration of an unusual record. I'll leave it there, but that's going to be the next video. It's going to be in a few days' time, and it's a short video. It's like 5 minutes or something, if that. It actually took me a lot of time to do. You can see all the shots here. There's a lot of stuff in there, but overall, I mean, I don't know how many clips, right? I wish it'd give me an overall size. It's a pretty large file because it's all in 4K as well, and lots of footage of records and things. But yeah, overall, edit it down to about 5 minutes and included the outro. And the reason I want to mention this is because if you start seeing lots of short videos coming out, or more than usual, it's not that I've got lazy and I can't be bothered, or this is how it's going to be from now on and I'm just doing short videos because it's easier. It's because I'm trying to get ahead of myself. Wow, it took me a long time to say that, didn't it? How long have we been in? How we've finally got around to the point of the video. But yeah, that's what the main point of this video is. You'll see quite a few short videos coming out because I'm trying to get some in the bag. This one I uploaded about a week ago. It's already on YouTube. I just haven't released it yet, because if I release them all now, then there'll be nothing for weeks and weeks and weeks, which is a shame. So I'm staggering them out. Obviously patrons will see them before normal YouTube people, and I've got a feeling I might start, while I'm away, I might do 2 versions. I might just have a patron version. I might just release them all at the beginning, but I don't know. No, I'll probably time them, because otherwise people think I'm not interested in patrons. And I don't want that to. I don't want anyone to get this. This is what it's all about. I don't want anyone to get the impression that I'm not interested and I'm being lazy and I'm ignoring people and I'm getting all this money from patrons and I'm not using it responsibly and things. I don't want to upset people, but equally, I'm not here to beg people. If you're not happy about whatever I'm doing, then please no longer support me. It's entirely voluntary. I don't fully understand that. I'm not here to put anyone's arm up the back. But yeah, you're going to see a few weird videos, a few shorter videos for the next, I don't know, 6-8 weeks. I'm talking about sort of what month is this? February, so March and April. Yeah, March and April. Things will get back to normal end of April, I'd say. But I'm going to mix these videos up. I'm not just doing a load of short ones. I've got some longer ones. I just thought I'll try and do sort of like 2 videos a week and see if that makes me get far enough ahead so I could have 4 videos come out while I'm not even here. So that's what's going on. Please don't be alarmed by the shorter videos. That's what the story is behind that. You can see I'm wasting my time now because I'm not wasted. I'm biding. No. Anyway, oh yeah, there's one thing. Now, if you could see what I could see in this room, it's a disaster area. It's ridiculous the amount of stuff I've got in here. Literally, I can put my feet on the floor just down here, and that's about it, because I've just got too much stuff. Now, I've been looking at other people's videos. Lazy Game Reviews did a good one about his storage things. Of course, America always have storage lockers. It was like a big thing over there, isn't it? Not so much over here, although it's taking off a little bit because people move into smaller accommodation, need to store all this stuff. So I'm going to be getting a storage locker, not to film out of, not to set up as some sort of studio, just to store stuff in that I'm not using at the moment, that I can get out of the storage locker when I need it. There's quite a few things. I mean, give you an example. Do you remember the, I think it's Panasonic, was it Panasonic? Panasonic 20 cassette carousel machine. I've got no intention of getting rid of that because there's nowhere to get rid of it to. No one would appreciate it properly. I'm not going to put it on eBay and send it through the post. It would get broken. I'm aware of stuff getting broken. I've got too many things arrive that are broken for that to risk something like that. So yes, that machine is taking up a heck of a lot of space. I can't put it up in the attic because it's not temperature controlled there, so it'll get like dank and stuff. It's in here, but I don't need it in here. I haven't used it since I made the video, so I'm going to put that one in storage. That's the example, and then that'll be a big space on the shelf. There's things like old monitors and record players, reel-to-reel machines, cartridge player, other things like that. So loads of stuff. So if I could get all those out into a storage locker, I think it cost me about £100 a month or something, which seems like a lot of money again when you add it up over a year. You're £1,200 a year. But it's cheaper than moving house, and I've looked at bigger houses and I can't afford any of them. I haven't even paid the mortgage off on this one, and it's tiny, so and again, I'm getting on in years. I don't want to start with a big loan at this point. So much better that I get a storage locker. So then, you remember the patron level thing where I said you have to put the incentives or something when you set up your Patreon account. You have to give like milestones, that's the word. And I say when I get to $4,000 a month, I'll give everyone a tour of the studio. Well, I don't want to show anyone this. It's an embarrassment. And besides which, a lot of the stuff that's in here kind of gives away things I'm working on. And I don't like doing that, because whenever I've shown something in the past that's just sort of in the background, someone will say, well, when's that video coming out? And literally things take a year sometimes from the minute I start thinking about them or shooting some things. It's a bit of a spoiler. The reason I use a white counter is for continuity, because it always looks white. I can shoot some footage and then 6 months later shoot something else, and it looks like it's just continuous. There was one video a while ago where I was holding something in one shot, and then I looked at the footage. I thought, oh no, it went out of focus there. But I'd shot a similar part for that video when I first unboxed it, but I'd unboxed it a year earlier. I'd still got the clip, fortunately. So I just inserted that little bit in the middle and then went back to what I was doing. And it's seamless. You wouldn't have known that the clips were a year apart, other than if you'd have studied my fingernails, because one of them had a bruise on at one time where I'd hit it when I was trying to take apart a background music machine. It had I put a hole all the way through the nail, so it had got a bruise underneath it. And then in the next shot it hadn't, but nobody noticed it. And it's literally, so that's why I'm shooting on a white counter. But yes, as far as this room, it's a complete disaster. So a lot of this stuff's going to go into storage, and that's going to be my main thing when I get back off my holidays, is renting a van and taking it there. I believe it's about 15 minutes away. This is if they've got a room in it, the one that I plan on using. So just thought you might be interested in that. And then once I've done that and it's all tidied up, maybe I'll be able to show you this place properly. But yeah, as far as shorter videos go, there's this record one. I've got one about an old watch, I think. And there's, let's see what I've got on here. I need to look at some software, which is something I don't normally do, but it's for something I'm going to go into. Record players, a lot of vinyl stuff early on this year. It's not by intention. It's not like I've got all super vinyl or anything, but it's just it's kind of coincidence in the order in which things have arrived in. There's been a few things I've ordered from Japan that have all turned up at the same time. There's been Kickstarters, 2 of which have turned up at the same time, all based around vinyl. I say vinyl, records. I'm trying to be all hip and calling it vinyl, but to me they're records, they're vinyl records. Now the trouble is, when you're doing a YouTube video and you put in a description in, if you put records, people don't really look for that, look for vinyl. So I tend to write vinyl records in it. The description's very important, I think, or the title at least. You've got to be very short with it as well. It's got to like fit in a nice little box. It's very hard to come up with titles sometimes that tell you what the video is about, make it sound interesting, but also only take about 8 words or so. It's one of the things that I sit there I'm in an ahhing over. In fact, that's why I took off the titles that were at the beginning of the videos. If you watch some of my earlier ones, you'll know that when the video came on, it had the title of the video in as like a card at the beginning. I took that off because quite often now I'll upload something, and about a few days later I'll think, oh yeah, that would have been a better way to say it, and then I can change the title and no one ever knows that it had a different one. Right, yeah, so I've got loads of stuff on there. There's one on there about a camera. I've been shooting now for over a year, and every time I try and get further with it, something goes wrong and I have to go back and sort of start again. I shot some actual film, just photos, not movie film. And I got this camera, took it to Liverpool, took a load of pictures, got them developed, and the developing place ruined the plans I'd got. I had a plan to do something with the developing, and they mucked it all up for me, so I've had to go back to square one with that. So that's one project that's been on there for years. So if I started trying to get that one done, it'd mean me going over to Liverpool, taking a lot of pictures, coming back here, sending it off, getting that back from the developers, doing the thing I wanted to do with it. So yeah, that's a month of a job. So I'm not going to do that. I'm doing the shorter ones on there. Right, now I think we're coming towards the end of here. I don't know if you're getting a bit tired. I think I am. I could probably do with a drink. I'm not talking about booze, but it won't be a problem if it was. Let's have a look. So we've done the ASA complaints, we've done the subs, we've done the jobs. Yeah, done the illness. That went on a bit long, didn't it? Sorry about that. But at least now you know. And I think that's it. I think that's everything that's on here. So yeah, you can see I'm working on stuff here at the moment, and I'm not promising that this will be out anytime soon. But hopefully you found something in here that was worth listening to. And if you haven't, apologies for completely wasting your time. It's a bit late to tell you now, but this is probably a good thing to have on in the background because there's not very much visuals going on here, is there? So I'm going to get back to, well, I don't need to do this one. This one's finished now. I'm going to start editing another one. I've got 3 videos that are shot that I need to edit. But yes, that's one thing I want to say. It might be that I'll be away on holiday when you ask me a question about a video that comes up over the next few weeks. If I don't reply, it's because I can't, because I'm middle of nowhere with no data connection, or the data is so expensive that to reply and say, oh, sorry, I don't know the answer to that, would cost me like £1, which isn't a good idea. Also, unfortunately, with Patreon, it's not like I can reply offline and then send them up. I have to go on the website, read through the things, fill it in the boxes. So, yeah, apologies. If you notice a delay in response, or perhaps it looks like I'm ignoring you, it's not that I am. I'm probably reading all the comments, but I'm probably reading them about a week after you posted them, which will be a bit late. So, could I ask a favour? If you see a question from someone that you know the answer to, then please try and answer it on my behalf, because I find that most of the patrons, I say most, pretty much all the patrons know more about most of the things that I make videos about than I do. Right, if things have shifted a little bit, it's because the battery just went in the camera. It is 4K I'm shooting this, and I was going on a bit, so that's a bit of a hint to remind me to wrap things up. But yeah, I was trying to say that if I am away and you see a question that you know the answer to, please try and answer it on my behalf, because it would help the person out who's asking the question, and I won't possibly be around to answer it. So don't feel like you're sort of stepping in and being rude and jumping over the top of me and saying, oh, I'll answer this one, because I'd rather you did. It's just, it would help me out a little bit if there are any questions like that. Yeah, but that's it. I think it's time to wrap this one up, and I hope you have a nice day, what's left of it. Probably about 5 minutes if you started watching this early in the morning. And that's it for the moment. I don't know how meta you like your videos, but this is a bit that I've just realised as I was editing it together that I forgot to mention. Well, in fact, there were 2 things. The first one was, you know, the illness thing at the beginning. I meant to mention the reason why I've got a long holiday is because of all the sort of sinus and all the rest of it, which also affects my hearing every now and then. I also, I sound like a demic, I also can't fly. I can't go on planes, is what I mean, because I can't equalise pressure, because I've just got all this blocked sinus stuff. So it'd just be my head would explode, which probably be quite scary for people, myself included. So I have to go on a cruise ship if I want to go abroad. And cruise ships, if you want to go any distance, take a while, which is why I'm having a long holiday. Right, we can tick that one off now, because it's ideally, I'd love to have city breaks. I used to love having city breaks. Obviously, when I was younger, you'd go to somewhere, you'd have 3 or 4 days there, you'd get to experience it a bit, then come home. It wouldn't cost you too much, and it'd be enjoyable. This whole spending 2 weeks away sitting on a boat isn't my ideal holiday. However, I know some people it'd be like a dream holiday, but once you've done a few, you think, well, that's enough. But anyway, that's the first thing. The second one is I realised everyone will be saying, well, what happened to the comedy outros? Well, not everyone. A lot of people hate them. There's a couple of things there. One, a lot of people hate them. I get more complaints about that than anything else, which you kind of think, why am I making all this effort to get complaints? And then on the other hand, I know a lot of people like them. I mentioned the fact that I'm trying to do shorter videos at the moment just to get ahead of myself. Well, those take at least a day to put together. And also I do worry about trying to think up scripts for them, because sometimes I just can't think of anything. I'm racking my brains. And it's been a bit of a relief just to sort of say, just forget it. Don't do any. And then just plough on making videos about other things. And if anything comes to mind, then by all means write it down and do it. And nothing's come to mind. I think I've run a little bit dry on ideas for them. And it's not a deliberate thing, say that's it, I'm not doing it anymore. But just like any TV show, If they have a team of writers, it's just me, and I'm sitting here, and I haven't got any ideas at the moment, and I can't force it. You can't sort of force things, and I've even had people write in, say, "Here's an idea," and some of them are they're not very good. It might be good for the person writing it, but to me, it's got to be something that I feel and something that I can get behind and I kind of find amusing, and these characters are the best way to express it. Nothing's coming to mind, got no great ideas for it, can't promise they'll ever come back, can't promise they've gone away forever either. If something crops up that I go, oh yeah, that'd be a brilliant idea, then I'll do something. But that's it, that's why they're not on at the moment. 2 reasons: I'm trying to get ahead of myself, make the videos shorter, and secondly, I haven't got any great ideas for them. But, they may well reappear. Anyway, that really is it for the moment this time. You can see me there. It's like a meta experience. So this clip I'm going to put on the end of here, and then that is really going to be the end of it. So that really is it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.